I mean, you've got everybody from Free Grace to Pentecostals to, it doesn't matter. It's disgusting. It's horrific behavior. It's not about theology that people are mad with smoking.
I'm telling you, eventually it'll bite you in the...
This video is unavailable. Okay.
Hello.
Who is that?
Yeah, they did. See, I knew exactly. I fed some breadcrumbs to them just right now, and I knew exactly. You know how I've told you, and they might be watching now, and maybe some like big perms in here in that whole group. I gave them enough breadcrumbs right now just to see. You know how I've said that I believe that Kenny is prepared to look absolutely like the stupidest person we've ever seen here.
Well, it's a
For
shame.
the purpose of trying to find out who's giving me information, right? And so
Right.
I gave them a little bit of breadcrumbs. They're alleging that I think that the case was sealed, but that doesn't stop what people from being in the courtroom to hear the witness, the victim's statement. So let's just say that facts were relayed to me. They know enough. They're so paranoid. It's ridiculous. Were you listening to that chat just now?
A little bit. You mean over there? You mean reading
Well,
the chat or listening to the hangout?
Yeah, was that what you were listening to? It just went private because this is going to be their
Yes.
this is their evidence where they're going to Joshua's attorney. Okay, so this was they just took my bait. Okay, here's my bait because I know and I don't care if they're listening. I mean I hope they're not because this will be a super fun YouTube drama. You know how he continues to say he's not Smokey, so I made sure to put it out there with Bokey to go, Bokey, do you think that Smokey's Josh? No. So now what they've got is they're going to go to Josh's attorney, i.e. Smokey's attorney, right? And they're going to say, yeah, Rob got a hold of a sealed record. I never told him that because that's not the truth. Rob got a hold of a sealed record he's not supposed to see, right? And that's not what it is, but that's what they're going to run with. And so what bait they just took is to allow me to absolutely prove for the Bokey Kens of the world who are just complete and utter morons that if they won't see once, maybe I'll get a letter from Joshua's attorney, which I'm hopeful for. And I'm hopeful that letter says something like cease and desist or maybe filing some kind of thing against me so that I have to testify, which would be really fun too. And then in the end, what we're going to find out is we're going to be able to record, get Smokey's actual voice, hopefully, and a lot of other things to kind of solidify it all. So it's pretty downright hilarious. Well, I don't think hilarious is the right thing for me to say. I feel bad. Yeah, I want to know. The biggest curiosity I have is what Smokey has on Kenny that Kenny sacrificed himself to look so stupid for the sole reason of trying to get me to say something.
What puzzles me, and I really can't understand, is it's like they left me in. One of them left me in the hangout, and then when I said, "Hey, how you doing?" or something, "How's everybody doing?" or something, bam, I was kicked.
Yeah,
and I think if you know me, if you've been watching where I've been going lately, my goal is almost always to say, "Hey, could we talk about something else?" And usually it goes back to behavior. Not that I'm perfect. I'm not claiming that, but just Smokey's behavior. And that is not allowed. And yet these guys continually want to talk about this issue. That's what I find mind-blowing. Why do they always want to be talking about this? I really don't get it.
Yeah. What I'm hoping for, hopefully people got copies of the headstone video by Mr. Kincaid and
right.
And that'll be a good one because that is what if I get a letter from Josh's / Smokey's attorney, I will respond with a screenshot of that, or maybe I'll email her a copy of that and say, all right, let's see what we're gonna do here, because Kenny and Smokey are California residents. I happen to be a California personal injury attorney. And I would say defamatory words have been said with regards to my business, with regards to my business acumen, with regards to my intelligence, and with regards to charges that I bribed the state bar to pass. And I think that it would be quite interesting what would develop if they decide to turn this into a huge battle. And Kenny to do so over for protecting a lie. That's the biggest thing that disturbs me is this guy claiming pastoralship, and he's continuing in this major lie.
Well, my question is, and I don't know what you think about it, or maybe you'd rather not comment on it, but why do you think they continue talking about it when they could stop and talk about something else?
Because this is honest truth, is that people who lack discernment, who I think are filled with that which is the opposite of the Holy Spirit, I believe that they think in their strange minds that they can continue in the lie. It's the emperor's new clothes thing, so that their minions will continue to believe. He hasn't really lost that many subscribers.
No, but there's only, what I've noticed is there's only so many that comment, and it's been that way for a while, but lately it seems, to me, it seems more that there's only very few who comment, and the rest, excuse me, are probably just watching it because it's so bizarre.
Yeah, it could be. I'm not sure. I can only credit it to, I think demons can be dangerous, but I also think that they can be stupid. And maybe they're not. Maybe like the demonic forces in this, and people will listen to this like the Knox of the world and say, well, Rob's still a crackpot. But maybe what the demons are doing, that demonic spirit that's leading these guys is doing so in order to embarrass, for instance, in Kenny's case, a good man of God who was for a long period of time, it looked like. And he's put all his eggs in this basket. It's really amazing. I don't get it. Don't you think? He's put his whole entire reputation in the Smoky Saint basket.
Well, the other area I've seen him going to is attacking Ken Hovind. Okay. That looks weird to me too. Whatever. The question is, so why did they go after Ken Hovind to begin with? And then
because the stuff he's done is dirtbag, he's douchebaggery, is anti-Christian in the sense that, there's polygamy. And that's a funny thing, because Pastor Kenny could argue that polygamy is God approved based on his arguments for who one can marry, who is marriage material if there's grass on the field, play ball.
He's saying he didn't say that now, though.
Well, he's got to spin it. He's spinning it. He clearly did.
Right. That's what I heard. That's what I read.
It's all out there. So it's not, I'm not making anything up. It's out of his own mouth. And the only way that Smokey came in with a lie to say that Aisha, according to the Muslim sources, was not of age when Muhammad had sex with her, and that is not what the sources say. Sahih Bukhari says that at 9 years old she was able to have, she was menstruating, and that she no longer played with dolls. So they had to lie, because my question was, Muhammad a pedophile? It wasn't like where Kenny goes, well, was she 9? Yeah, she was 9. And he didn't just say no, flat out no, because she was 9. It continued to be on the basis of whether or not she was biologically able to have sex. And the only way that Smokey could save Kenny there was to lie and say that Aisha wasn't when Muhammad had sex.
I want to add, hey, P. Mars, I want to add quick, though, what I think happened. When I saw that the video was removed, I hadn't got, because I was trying to stay behind. I didn't want to be right at the very moment they're sharing. It's either way, it's sort of like stealing their video. I get that. But I think at least if I'm a good ways away, who's going to watch mine when he can watch theirs there anyhow, period.
Yeah.
But that's why I didn't hear the very end. And I'm sorry I missed that.
No, it's okay. Well, they took it down because they think they've got something, but they took the bait. And I'd like to say hello to them on the road. And I wish, pay attention to the road, gentlemen, and continue work perfecting your Peter Griffin homosexual imitation, Smokey. It's almost there.
I looked up what Smokey said about the doll thing, and granted, I only checked like one. So I just Google searched. I just checked one source, but the source I checked said that like most Muslim scholars, there's no like they say like you can play with dolls, whatever. It's not a big deal. It's this like fringe group that say like after puberty you can't, right? So he's taking like a fringe idea. You know what I'm saying? And, like,
yeah, but what I'm saying is Sahih al-Bukhari specifically says that, right? And in the hadith, and it says that she no longer did. Like that she could not until Sahih al-Bukhari says that the Prophet married her when she was 6 and he consummated his marriage when she was 9 years old. But it also says, let me make sure about playing with dolls. I put it on my community tab. See, it's might be Sahih al-Bukhari 6130. Let me see.
Oh, I'd just like to say for everyone that this banana was an adult and it consented.
Good. I used to play. Here's what it says in Sahih al-Bukhari, chapter 78. And narrated by Aisha. I used to play with the dolls in the presence of the prophets, and my girlfriends also used to play with me. When Allah's messenger used to enter my dwelling place, I used to hide, but the prophet would call them to join and play with me. The playing with the dolls and similar images is forbidden, but it was allowed for Aisha at that time, as she was a little girl, not yet reached the age of puberty. And then it'll say elsewhere, Aisha 9, Hadith. And Sahih al-Bukhari says, I can't see, it's probably in here, 5134 maybe. But in another hadith, it says that she was 9 years old when she reached the ability to have menstruation. Is this the news unit?
What do you think of that? Now, I know that the link was just shared, but I just want to show where it goes.
Like, I can relate to this because a lot of times Christians irritate me more than like anyone else, you know.
Such as the holy.
And there is like, I look up to this philosopher named Kierkegaard. He was a Christian, and he was also like disappointed with Christians of his time, and he like refused to go to church on Sunday, and he would in fact like sit outside the church and drink a cup of tea so like everyone would know that he wasn't going to church, because he's like, these Christians are like, all these modern day Christians, I think they're weak. Like, they're getting divorces. Like, Jesus clearly said that's wrong. They don't care.
Well, there are a lot of
praise us.
I don't think Christians in general get me that angry. Individual people get me that angry. So I don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. And that's pretty much what old Dave is doing there. So I feel sad for him more than anything else.
Praise is starting a stream.
Yeah, I wanted to see that actually.
what it.
They left. I think Kenny and Josh, they went over to praise this thing now.
What if your significant other is a spiritual whore?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, spiritual, that is. You know. Oh, boy.
Well, that's cool. Brett King got a letter. It's so funny. because
What?
what Kenny was trying to say, he was trying to make the implication that the reason that he would have a problem with reasons to believe is because he attacked Kent Hovind. So that could be a reason why they attacked Kent Hovind too. And it says in the comments that Brett Keane got a letter from Reasons to Believe that said they've temporarily suspended their relationship with Kenny.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really watched.
He's pissed off about that. You can tell because he keeps bringing that up.
I don't know what's going on in Brett Keane's. I haven't watched it. He left a message and said everybody was doing well and thanked me and everybody else and everybody in my comment section. And so I just suggested, that he needs to talk with me about his accusation with Jokup's wife attacking her. And he removed the comment. And then he posted it under somebody else's comment on one of the videos, and so I removed that. And then I don't know if I blocked him or not. I don't think so, but yeah, I don't trust the guy at all.
Mm-hmm.
He just has no problems with just blatant lies. You
talking about Brett?
Yeah, I don't trust him.
Yeah, Brett. I find Brett. I think he's smart. I do like talking with him, but yeah, I don't think he's someone that I would, invite over the house. But anyway, I mean, I don't want to talk.
Yeah, I'm not trying to bust on him. I mean, I'm just saying that when he out and out straight lied about me personally, and then I tried to get him to just simply talk about it. There's like no way, man. He will not.
Yeah, well, I mean, he revealed what's going on right now. That's when I went, oh, now I get it. Like he started his channel again and stuff, and he's releasing a book in May.
Oh,
so it's always about money, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, but all the you're doing a great job. You're doing all this. Like, oh, come on, buddy, don't tell me that.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear it. It whatever. Anyhow, if he actually talked to me one day, then I would have a little more respect for him.
My hope in the end with this is that when Smokey runs with what I think he's about to do, which is what I breadcrumbed him to do, that the likes of young people that are getting influenced by this, like Boki Ken, who I legitimately, unless Boki Ken's a super actor and he was like a part of the group that's, as I've been saying for the last week, that the reason for this insanity with Kenny was to try and get me to say the source of where I got my information, where they think that I have, but I think I kept it pretty vague. That they'll realize, because one of the things that you can hear in the chat, and that's probably why they took it down because I revealed some of the facts and that are correct, and two, because the age difference was correct as well.
Mm-hmm.
That he knows that I've got the information. But that information that shows the age difference is a public document.
Yeah, it's posted.
Right. So it's like that one is out there. People got on the internet, and that is a fact that I didn't know until someone else posted that. But I have connections, and some connections revealed some information to me because it was not a sealed courthouse that apparently Kenny and Josh, or rather Kenny and Smokey, were not at. Right. Kenny can't remember whether or not he was in Mecklenburg County Court because of his ADHD. So what they end up showing to me by taking that breadcrumb is they will reveal to the likes of Boki Ken that, yes, indeed, they've lied to him. And so that's my hope, that he'll be able to see that. But maybe not.
I went to praise his chat. I was like, hey, I heard you were a child molester.
You said that to who? Praise or?
Yeah, because Smokey said he was today.
Oh, he did? I didn't hear that.
Yeah, he did a stream where he said he had information hypothetically, right? That Praise is a child molester. So he basically called him a child molester or whatever, right?
Yeah, they say whoever's Will Kincaid's attorney is also a moron. Telling him that he can go around just casting random aspersions using the word allegedly.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, good
I
for
have no
you.
money, so no one can sue me, right?
Well, anyone can sue anybody, P. Mars.
Yeah, but if I have no money, like, why would you sue me? Like,
To ruin you.
but I have no money.
Well, then you won't. We'll even have less, right? Because then they can get a judgment against you that garnishes any wages you make.
I don't work.
Well, they'll find a way. Do you declare any taxes?
No.
All right. That online poker thing isn't working out? Yeah. Plead the fifth, sir. Anyway.
Yeah,
I'm saying hypothetically, a person who doesn't work and makes no money, like, you can't sue them, right? That's what I'm saying.
You can sue anybody. It becomes an issue of whether principle means more to anything else. And in Kenny's and Smokey's paranoid mind, they think I've spent thousands of dollars to follow them. And Kenny's juggernaut genius tonight was that when I came in there to troll them regarding their barely legal thing that they did with Knock. Did you hear that at all?
No.
Oh no, Bruce, did you hear that? Are you there?
Wait, now which was this with Knock?
Yeah, and that was the thing that made my jaw drop. I peeked on over there because I saw that I went into your chat and I saw that you put his on. So I started to listen, and Knock was in there, and Knock was like, talking to Smokey
Right.
and telling Kenny off and stuff. And then Kenny comes up with, have you ever heard of barely legal porn? The pastor comes to Knock, the atheist, and says, have you ever heard of barely legal porn? Knock acts clueless, right? Of course I've heard it. I mean, because it was as a lawyer, it was in the news in like the 90s because there was a well-known pornographer who was doing that kind of pornography where he got in trouble in California.
Yeah, see, the only thing that would come to my mind would be there was something about snuff or something porn, like they kill somebody or some weird thing.
No.
And then I heard rumors that it wasn't really true, that it never really happened. I have no idea, but I'm not familiar with what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's different. There was a pornographer that what he would do is he would stage scenarios where it would be like girls getting out of school and they're wearing cheerleader outfits or whatever, and they have big ponytails, right? And they're eating a lollipop or something like that. Just horrifically awful stuff to simulate an adult male with a minor child. And so California tried to create laws to stop that from happening. And I think that they were able to, they did pass a law, and then they were able to fine and I think even imprison some pornographers that were doing that stuff. So you don't see that stuff anymore. I think in California it's illegal. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it still is. And so the fact that a pastor would bring that up, and the only reason he brought it up to Knock was to say, like, come on, this is how guys think. They're attracted to young people, right? That's the only reason I think could possibly imagine that Kenny, the pastor, was bringing that up to the atheist Knock. And to me, that was so disgusting.
That's weird.
I had to get in there.
Yeah, I never.
It's gross, man.
I never even heard of such a thing.
Absolutely gross. And Kenny was used that. There was no other reason for Kenny to use that in that context other than to tell Knock, come on, relax. It's perfectly normal for an adult male to be attracted to young girls.
No, it's really abnormal. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, it's out there because we live in a perverse world. But for a pastor to like that, there was nothing more that I could get out of that than justifying what Josh did.
To be honest, I don't know. I was always drawn to older girls, but by the time I got in my 20s, I guess I figured somebody around my own age was okay. I don't know. That's just me. Weird, maybe, whatever. But yeah, it's odd, man. I've been listening to these guys, trying to justify it though. Like it seems to me like Kenny and them have been justifying it by talking about the age of Mary, this,
Well,
that,
yeah.
whatever. And I go, what in the world are you doing? I mean,
Because this is it. This is what I think the facts are. I think that she was, when at least what I think was admitted to was she was underage according to North Carolina law when they actually had sex, but she was like in that year before it would have been legal. And so maybe when the sex act occurred, I'm not talking about the grooming stuff and the webcamming
right,
and stuff, which is what Joshua pled guilty to.
right.
They keep trying to say that, and this is just an aside. We could look at the stuff, and I if they had pushed me, I was gonna. They wouldn't have shown it though. I was going to share the screen of the statutes. North Carolina has a sexting statute, actually. So if Josh was charged or pled guilty to a sexting charge, it would have been under their obscenity laws, and not with indecent liberties with a child. So their whole sexting scheme is ridiculous, and they're lying
Well,
again.
the thing that makes
So
me angry.
Kenny is justifying it and lying
Okay,
for it.
I tried to think through a bunch of scenarios. I'm listening to these guys go on and on and on about it. I'll seem sick about this. I apologize, but I got thinking about it. I thought, okay, what about somebody who lived like out in these like mountain people or something, or somebody lived so far towards the Antarctic or something that they had like basically no radio communication, hardly newspapers, much of anything, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And let's say that in that kind of civilization, something like this happened. Their laws kind of probably at that point would be built around the people around them, their family. That's all they know. And so I'm thinking, well, if that's their argument, and plus they're trying to go back thousands of years of how people lived when they only lived to be maybe 30, 40 years old or something. I'm thinking, this just doesn't, we're talking about an educated person, apparently from California, school educated. It's like, what? This doesn't even make sense. Like you can't, I just don't see any, no matter how much they try to justify it, it just doesn't make any sense at all. And you know what I'm saying by somebody like in Antarctica or something, or in that region where, like, say there's nobody around, but
like there's no moral subjective,
yeah, like they don't have
standard in
TV,
society.
right? In other words, they wouldn't have TV, computers,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
hardly any newspapers, anything, radio. Their communication would be, except for a few people around them, kind of tribal sort of situation. And I mean, that's the only kind of thing where I can paint in my mind where I go, well, okay, guys, I kind of almost see what you're saying, but it's still wrong. But they're trying to take people that are educated in a civilized society this day and age and compare that to like 2,000 years ago or something. You go like, well, that's just not, it doesn't equate.
Yeah.
There's, it's ridiculous.
Don't you think My Little Pony is immoral?
No, it's a wonderful cartoon.
What? But it makes
I'm trying
kids
to find
trans and gay.
That's the closest I can get to talking with Kenny by putting that up there. You know, with ponytail.
Yeah, Kenny is attracted to that. He likes ponytails.
Yeah.
And buns.
Yes.
And you can interpret that however you want to interpret that.
Oh boy, I forgot
about
yeah, well, that's another thing they talk about all the time, and it's just kind of like, well, I think that the Praise's idea probably is consenting adults, and who are you to say that they can't live that way? You know,
mm-hmm.
I suspect, you know, and that is different though than taking advantage of someone that is too young to really know right and wrong, and especially in the society we live in. It's just, there's no justification, and they're trying to justify it. It blows my mind.
Well, I mean, maybe there's so many ways they could have gotten out of this a lot easier, in my opinion. Real desperate, nerdy, younger man. He just won't go there. I think that he was as mature as he this is Smokey tries to make himself appear to be. I think he's worked really, really, really hard at it. In other words, I think he reads a lot. I think that he does indeed. I joke about it, but with a thesaurus, he probably subscribes to those websites where it's like learn a word a day, and he tries to use that word kind of thing. No, I'm serious. And in order to
Yeah.
look
Well,
smart,
new words come up from time to time. I've noticed over the
yeah.
last couple of years, new words come in and then they go. You know.
But the truth might be that he had a sort of a stunted growth, was very naive, and was afraid to deal with girls his age. And so he got himself in that scenario, because I've seen many guys. I've encountered many young men like that in ministry, in school. You know, I've seen it all. I was an RA too, you know, and I was in the dorms, and there would be kids that would get into trouble, you know, or they would be in need of counseling at the counseling center and stuff. And oftentimes it would be these young men that I imagine Smokey was like at 21 years old, where it was just like they just can't relate to the world, can't relate to girls. They're really frustrated and angry. And and so if Smokey came out and just said, look, I was young and I was naive and I was stupid and I did something stupid, it's like, all right, you know.
Well, what about the idea? Okay, so what about the idea? I mean, my point of view has been just stop talking about it. Just go on and start doing your ministry thing, clean up, straighten out. But by my very saying that, he will, if he heard me saying it, he'd probably rebel against it anyhow, because it's the devil.
It's damage control, and very very bad damage control. Very bad.
I would think they just shut up about it. Although maybe I'm thinking there's another side that maybe by talking about it, it makes it come across as though there's no fear.
Yeah, well, I can only imagine that maybe Kenny's got a piece of their little Kincaid Smoky Saint empire or something. I think they have these delusions of grandeur that they're going to be like the next Howard Stern or something, and they're going to make a ton of money. And because I don't know what the heck Smokey does for a living, that he can be on the internet all the time, and that he can, you know, now be on a more than a month-long road trip. Right?
I do want to mention something else and see what you think about this idea. Something that dawned on me was, okay, so the own issue, people are saying it's him. So you say, okay, well then let's let it go. Let's not talk about it. Let's move on. Now they say that it's actually going after someone else, a friend, relative, or something, right? I get that whole deal. Well, if that were the case, wouldn't you think that then, and they were concerned for them, wouldn't it be wise again to just be quiet?
Absolutely. You're thinking like they don't, because they're not reasonable. That's like that demonic influence. If I was in the same situation, it was one of my cousins, I would just not talk about it.
No,
I'd let people stew. And the more you say, like, everything that Kenny has said is only confirmed. That's the whole
So think of this then. If I came in, my complaint was Smokey's behavior, the Smokey character on YouTube, his behavior towards people.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you gladly talk about that as opposed to this issue? I mean,
yeah. I would, if I was Smokey, I'd just keep doing the same thing I've been doing.
Okay.
Right. Which is just, that's how he's got his 1.2.
Well, that's true, but you wouldn't be talking about this subject unless by chance you didn't really care and you knew that it was getting you more views.
Yeah, yeah, that's
right.
Praise
just said Smokey was bisexual and that he sucked dudes off for drugs.
I don't know if I heard that, but I think that. Yeah, I think that Smokey confessed to one instance of someone giving him that at a bar or something.
Really?
Yeah, you didn't. Yeah, but who cares?
He said that. Whatever. You know,
and he could be lying for all I know. You know, like he's a notorious liar. So who knows what he's about?
That's pretty weird. I would never let a guy do that.
Well, it's not. It's not. Well, I mean, there are people that are into that. So yeah, that's not a sin that I have an issue with. You know, it's like I always.
It is a sin though, right?
Of course it is. Yeah, I can't get past that, no matter how Democrat I would be. So yeah, I mean, who knows why he had confessed to that? Other than, like I said, I wouldn't believe it, and it's so he can get a one up on somebody and say, look at what a gossip they are, or whatever. I don't know.
AMC, I think it says God loves the world. For
And-
God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever
Shall
believeth
vote
in
Republican.
him, believeth in him, should not perish, but have
mean,
everlasting. Hold on, let me finish this. Could I? But have everlasting life. That's 3:16. You have 3:17. When you tie them together, it's very clear those who believe in him, not just everybody, that they're all saved. Come on. It does say believe. It does.
it also says he died for the ungodly.
Yes, it does say that. Absolutely. But it doesn't say that you're going to heaven just because Jesus died on the cross.
I don't think salvation means you're going to heaven, does it?
Well, where do you think?
Of course it does. I mean, it's not going. The new earth will come to us.
I thought it's just he paid the debt. I thought it's just the debt paid for the sins. Let's see.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think that God has made it a way so that we don't have to accept that debt. We can still just decide we'll take the penalty on ourselves. That's the great thing about God. I mean, that's why why he is worthy of that praise, I think, is because he gives us the freedom to decide whether to praise or not. Someone that doesn't want to be with God, why would God force them? That would be hell.
Well, it's his will. I don't know. That's a good question, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I believe in free will, flat out, because that's a great gift. I would never want to, let's say even my own child, to revere me no matter what, as his father, and respect me if I was just a horrible person, or just required, like, in other words, he was a robot and he did everything that I said. I don't think that he would have a fruitful life. A fruitful life comes out of making mistakes.
Yeah, I agree with you. I believe we do have a free will, but my Bible scholar says we don't have a free will with salvation or whatever.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, some people can believe that. I want to believe in universalism. It's just the Bible prevents me from doing so.
Well, it is a nice thought, isn't it? That everyone.
It is. It is. I want, and believe me, for me, it was. I never got a satisfied answer when I became a believer. For me, because I came from the Jewish faith, even though I was secular, and I have Orthodox Jew relatives who, of course, would want to believe in the Messiah, who would have believed in messianic prophecy, but who died not knowing Jesus. So yeah, I don't want to imagine them in such a world where, for instance, eternal punishment and things. So I have my own feelings about the eternal punishment. That's the one that I have difficulty believing. With the same God who loves us enough to give us free will to choose him, I also have difficulty in imagining that same God being happy and feeling justice in his creation, like burning in pain for eternity.
Yeah, it seems to contradict like all loving God, right?
A little bit, yeah. But there are different interpretations, and there are brothers and sisters, as we know, that obviously believe in that wholeheartedly, and they can get scriptural basis, and I know where they can find it, and so I don't challenge that per se. But my hope is, that's not what it is. But in the end, and this was the final hurdle for me, where I just said, look, I'm going to let go and let God, because I believe in Jesus. I believe in everything he said he did, and that he did it for me because I'm a wretch. And that was enough for me, that I know God is good, God is perfect, God is love, and that I will just trust in that limited knowledge that I have in my little pea brain, that is not even close to the enormity of wisdom of God. We can never grasp that. One day we're going to be able to, whatever is there will be what is meant to be, and I'll be satisfied with that. And I trust in words of scripture like there's no tears, sadness in heaven, and so that I'll hang my hat on that all day.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's like when we look at the human world, there's really no hope. Like, it seems like all of our efforts to make a perfect world are just screwing things up more as humans, and we're flawed, and we're, like you said, we're wretches. So to me, God's really like the only hope of like fixing things, like, because we're just keep screwing things up.
It's kind of, I'm with you. It's kind of a hopeless worldview when you don't have hope, literally. And God
Yeah,
provides that.
that's what happened before I was a Christian. I was in despair. I had no hope, because I thought, and I also thought it was my job to fix everything in the world. But now I can kind of relax, and it's like God's job, and all I have to do is love God and love
Yeah,
my
don't go
neighbor.
out of your way. I would just say, because the problems that we've had, PMARS, and I know that you have issues regarding language and people getting offended. And there's a part of me that agrees with that. Like, I can't stand how sensitive people are right now. And it's like the most horrible thing that we can do to someone else in today's society, in today's world, is to offend them. I'm like, screw that. The gospel offends people. So sorry, suck it up. That's one thing, but you can't go out of your way to try and offend people, which I think is something occasionally that you do, PMARS. Knowing that people will get offended by certain things, you go out and just do it, and your attitude is, and you might feel a certain way, but you have to stay open. I'm glad you're not in despair anymore. That's a great thing. That's a great place to be, but don't cause other people to stumble, whether or not they're a brother or sister, on purpose, because then you're not really helping in any way. You can still be out of despair and full of hope, but and do so without going out of your way to piss people off. Live peaceably with all people, if at all possible. That's our instruction.
Well, I would agree that like it's wrong to abuse. Like, we have the freedom of speech, and you can't abuse it, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I would just say you don't get offended by certain things. Obviously, a lot of people do, and they have their reasons. And so if you know that it's going to be offensive, don't go out of your way to try and make a point. Like, because you could even be right. I'm not going to agree with you, and that doesn't necessarily mean I'm right, PMARS, right? But I just say when you know that something is going to make somebody stumble, it's the same thing like using the N-word or typing in a chat. It's the same as like inviting your alcoholic Christian brother to the bar to go with you to talk baseball or talk Bible or something. It's just not going to be a good situation for them, and you're just leading them into temptation, or might cause them to stumble. You just don't want to. We can't do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I could argue that when I'm doing that, people are causing me to stumble by like acting tyrannical and abusing, like censoring me and like humiliating me or talking shit about me, and then that causes me to stumble, and then that's why I typed the word in the chat.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't necessarily agree, but I'm going to grant you that point. But then think about where it all started. So, and this is the way of the flesh. The way of the flesh is like for like, eye for an eye. So when you go somewhere in a certain place that's offensive to someone else, when we exist in the flesh, we will counter it with flesh most often, because we're wretches, right? As we've agreed. So if you never lead them to get mad at you and then to cause you to stumble in return, then neither party stumbles. And then peace is achieved that way. So, you know, you see what I'm saying? If you trigger somebody, it's going to trigger the whole, going to trigger a problem, and
Yeah.
it would have never needed to happen if you never
Well,
started.
I've been watching these like sports shows sometimes, and they talk about Kobe Bryant and how it was like he was always angry at his teammates because they never like worked as hard as him. He could not like understand why they didn't, and like it took him to mature. It was until later in his career he matured and like accepted them for who they are and stuff. And I think like I have a similar issue. Like I'm the Kobe Bryant of Christianity, and I'm like, it's like I just get like so disgusted that people aren't on my level that like, you know, like I don't know, maybe I lash out at them or something.
Yeah, and I would just say you're going to need to find peace with that, and just, you know, be careful of the pride factor, and just tell yourself that someone, you know, you feel that there's a weakness in being offended by things, and that may be so, but acknowledge the weakness and don't you know, because as Romans 14 says, it talks about, you know, this is a paraphrase, but being generous and merciful to those who, your brother who is weaker, you know. So as you're perceiving someone as being weaker in the faith, you still need to do things that aren't going to cause the weaker person in the faith to stumble. That's the key message there, and it's important, and it's a path to maturity. So where Kobe was is he needed to become mature to realize, look, some people just